Okay, guys, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed your break. So do you have any questions about the process so far? Yes, no, maybe so? No? All right, so what I'd like you to do is get into a different group of three, different group, and we're going to go through the entire process, spending just 10 seconds or 5 seconds on the opening sequence, and maybe about 20 seconds or so on this whole sequence here, right? You may spend a little bit longer on the experience just to kind of get the feel of that, and then we'll come back and have another chat. Does that make sense, everyone? Easy? Yeah? You'll have about 5 to 10 seconds for the opening, and about 20 or 30 seconds for the next bit. And I'd say spend most of your time on the experience, because that's the new part. Just go through the fascinating fact and the link to the niche in a sentence or two, just very, very zippy, very quick. Okay, guys? So the first thing we'll do is just organize yourself into a new group of 3 people. Stand up, find a different space in the room. Okay, guys, now that you're in your groups, all I want you to do is just to recap again, go through that whole process again. The quick opening sequence, and then just give them a quick fascinating fact, link it to whatever niche you're talking about, and then give them a nice experience, either a demo or a group experience, all right? If you have time, you can do both, but please do not spend more than 50 seconds in total, because otherwise the whole day gets derailed for everyone else. You're basically eating into their time. Okay, guys? So your time starts now. How is that? Interesting, easy, fun? Yeah? Not easy yet. Okay. So there's a couple of you who've come up to me during the breaks and said, look, this is all great and fantastic, I'm enjoying myself, but I haven't actually done any hypnosis before, so how do I do this whole induction bit and the demo bit if I haven't done it, right? So could I give you guys, I've given a few of you saw this in the break, could I give you guys a quick 5-minute tour of how to do hypnosis if you have no idea how to do hypnosis? Would that be useful to you guys? Yeah? Could I have a microphone up here, and I'd like to have 2 volunteers, please. Ideally, sure, just come on up, and ideally someone who's not done any hypnosis before. You haven't done any hypnosis before? Come on up. All right, so here's what we'll do. Actually, welcome down to over here. And let's have someone else just so we can have, do you want to play with this as well? All right, so we'll stay over here. If you can get, where's Mr. Cameraman here? Behind you. He's behind me, oh! If you just get in so you can get a nice shot of this group guys here. So the rule of thumb is very simple, right? This is you appreciate that there's a lot to hypnosis, right? There's a lifetime worth of exploration. So I'm going to kind of condense it to the absolute barest minimum. And the pattern of this is very simple. You want to make a suggestion and give them time to process it, right? So I'll give you an example of what I don't mean. Just quickly, close your eyes and go inside. Now good, now find something comfortable, now come on back, right? How much time did he have to do that? Now, there is a way that you can use that kind of speed trance and overload consciousness to get the result that you want, but that's complicating matters for what we're doing here. So I'm not suggesting this won't work, but to make this work, you need to understand other things, and that's beyond what we have time for here. Does that make sense to everyone? So the real simple version of this is just close your eyes for a moment. Now, do you see what just happened there, even with him just closing his eyes? Did you notice how there's a slight shift in his expression? That's his mind starting to shift gears, right? Now focus inside. Again, do you see him going through that shift? That's it. There you go. Find something pleasant. There you go. And you can see the reactions, right? Did you notice how I'm being very silent? I'm not saying anything, because that's interfering with this process. Perhaps you can recall a pleasant memory. There you go. And really enjoy it. Am I really doing all that much at this point? I'm just letting him have time to experience it. Right? Whenever you're ready, bring yourself back. Did you enjoy that?
Yes.
Was that good?
Yeah.
Do you see how he lights up? So this is really the 5-minute or the 5-second version of how to do hypnosis if you have no clue how to do hypnosis, right? Please appreciate that there is a lot to hypnosis beyond this, but this is a really easy starting point. Make sense? So what I'd like you to do is if you take this so we can just speak into it, just say something so we can all hear you.
Yes.
Great, great. So what I need you to do is just grab him the same way, and I'll kind of coach you through it very quickly, and then we can get on with the seminar, okay? Well, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Just give him a simple instruction. I would recommend you start with eye closure, because that makes your life a little bit easier.
Close your eyes.
And just wait. Now, it helps if you kind of empathize with him and kind of get a feeling of what it's like. There you go. Mm-hmm. Now give him another instruction. Any instruction. To experience something pleasant, to think of something pleasant, to feel something pleasant.
Could you think about something pleasant?
And then wait. There, did you see that? And there again. Did you see that? So now give me another instruction to maybe complement that one or take me another direction. But again, keep it to something comfortable or pleasant.
So think about something very funny.
There you go.
That's right.
Yeah. So come back. That's it.
A little on the fast side, but good.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, that's
Now, let's pause there a second. Now, you notice how your mind was like, I don't know what to say, I don't know what to do, right? To make it easy for yourself, just close your eyes for a moment. There you go. And find something really pleasant inside. There you go. And you notice there's a lot of stuff happening inside you, isn't it? Keep your eyes closed. There's a lot of stuff happening in there, isn't it? And much of it is pleasant. Select one of those pleasant sensations. I wonder if it'll grow. There you go. Did you enjoy that? You did, didn't you? That's right. Just let it settle there for a while. Now, what I'd like you to do is something very important. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to open your eyes. Not yet. But you'll only open your eyes as slowly as the stuff that's happening inside continues to happen. So slowly as that continues to happen, allow your eyes to drift open, but maintaining that state. There you go. Feels good, doesn't it? Now tell him to close his eyes whilst you feel that continuing.
But do I touch him still?
I don't care.
No. Close your eyes.
And now pause, and whilst he's doing that, let this, what's going on inside you, continue. Can you feel it? There you go. If it helps, you can close your eyes too. There you have it. Now, let it grow inside you. Now, here's the way to cheat. Whatever it is you noticed, ask him if he can notice something similar. He might, he might not. Ask him.
Do you feel light now?
And now wait. I think he is. And let yourself feel whatever's happening inside you. Select something that you find pleasant.
Do you feel relaxed?
Great. And now pause again. Find something else inside you. This time, when you find something, instead of asking the question, present it as an instruction. You know, I wonder if you'll feel more relaxed. Or, can you feel more relaxed now? It's more like an instruction than anything else. Feel free to touch him. Do whatever comes natural.
Okay. Do you feel more relaxed now?
Oh, beautiful. And wait. Feel it happening inside yourself. There you go. And that's the one you say next. Don't think about this. Have a sense what's happening inside you. Let it occur. Find anything you find pleasant. And present it as an instruction.
I don't have any.
Close your eyes. And then let your mind drift. Really let it drift. There's nothing expected of you. Just enjoy yourself. And you can you not? Yeah.
Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, now you have it. And then bring him back only as gently as you would want to have been brought back, having been in such a wonderful place.
Now prepare to get back.
Beautiful.
And get back to yourself now. Open your eyes slowly.
That's it.
That's it?
Congratulations. You are now a hypnotist. I'll keep this for now. Does that help?
Yeah. It
Okay.
is good. Yeah.
So please realize there's a lot that's been built into this, and there's a lot of stuff that you can do with hypnosis beyond all this. The point is, it can be very simple if you have no experience, and continue to educate yourself to get more experience, right? So there's a couple of points on what you just saw happening there. As you appreciate, there's a lot to hypnosis, and a lot of you with more experience will have seen stuff built into that is a little more invisible. The key here is, number one is the H+. What you experienced when you went first, when you allowed yourself to experience hypnosis, that's your connection to your own unconscious. That makes finding suggestions really easy to do, right? So it helps you become less nervous about it. Notice when you try to think of a suggestion, you can't. But as soon as you just let yourself go, it's like, oh, of course. And you present whatever seems right or natural in the moment. That's the cheat route, the back route. There's lots of other stuff you can do on top of that too, of course. But you don't need to begin with. Then you present your suggestion. I would always start with eye closure if you have little experience, because it just cuts out a lot of other distractions. And finally, you want to just leave lots of pauses for them to have the experience. The rest is pretty much simple. It just happens by itself. Is it guaranteed to work every single time? Nothing is guaranteed every single time. You know this, right? But it'll work so often that it's as good as guaranteed. Meanwhile, it gives you the chance to go and get more training and build yourself as a hypnotist, because, let's face it, if you're going to be starting hypnotherapy practice, you need to know how to do hypnotherapy, right? But this is a good simple fix whilst you learn the business stuff and whilst you do the stuff we're doing in here. And then it allows you to have time to go off and do your own studies and learnings, so you then have the skills to actually do the hypnotherapy afterwards. Was that useful to you guys? Yes? Yes. You enjoy that? Yeah, go on, why not? This is for you, by the way. So, we've got the opening and we've got the main lecture portion, correct? So what's the first thing in the opening end? Welcome. Then what do? Then? Oh, come on, guys. Let's start again. This is like half the group's like, yeah, What's the first thing you do? Welcome. Now I feel welcome. What's the second thing? What? Then? What do you do then? Yes. Then? Then? Right? You do the warm-up. Then the next thing you do is you give them some fascinating fact. What do? Fascinating fact. That's right. And then you link it to whatever your niche is about. So what do? First is a fascinating fact, which is? Fascinating fact. Then you do what? Link it. Right? The final thing is you give them an experience. Without an experience, all this is trivial, and as far as they're concerned, you could be a used car salesman who knows nothing about hypnosis because you haven't shown that you know anything about hypnosis. So they must have an experience. Does that make sense?
So what would you say is the main difference between the experience and the induction?
So the question is, what is the main difference between the experience and the induction? Great question. The induction is the experience. The big difference in terms of the lecture layout is, when I do my lecture demos, when I do my inductions in the opening warm-up phase, they're conversational, so they don't know it's happened yet. When I do an induction here, I'm going to be much more obvious about it, so they know it's happened, right? So it's just for them to realize, I've just had an experience. Wow, that's so cool, right? That's the main difference. Really, you're basically doing lots of inductions throughout anyways. In fact, those of you who are paying attention will realize I do lots of inductions, some formally, some informally, and some in between. Sometimes I'll do an induction when I'm not even there. Ha ha! That's called dream therapy. Does that help? Yes. So once again, once you've gone through the opening cycle, what's the first thing you do? Fascinating fact. Is that more than one person in the room going to do this? That's what do you all do? Fascinating fact. What do you do next? Link it. What do you do then? Experience. And that's real simple, isn't it? Yeah. So you have the first two phases, there's 5 phases in the lecture demo, right? There's one more phase that we need to cover before you have a break. If it's a short program, like it's like an hour's program, then you'll do the whole thing in one go. If it's a longer program, like a 90-minute program and longer, you want to have a break somewhere in the middle, and I'll explain more about why and when and so on when we do this. Essentially, this is the place where you make your offer, okay? To make your offer, it's very simple. They need to have a reason why they should be interested in whatever it is that you're doing. And there's a couple of ways that you can get to the offer. The simplest way is another yes set, right? For example, did you all enjoy this little demonstration, the 5-minute hypnotist that we just did here? Who enjoyed that one, right? Who would like to have a simple method that will show you how to start practicing hypnosis without any fear, no performance anxiety, it's easy, and you'll find plenty of volunteers easily to be your willing victims to do hypnosis. Would anyone like to know how to do that? All right. Believe it or not, we've just created a DVD set called Fearless Hypnosis, or How to Practice Hypnosis Without Fear. And the process you just saw there, we elaborate on. There's 3 DVDs in it. It's a whole day where we just go through the whole process. And we'll show you how to do this in much more detail and how to elaborate it to a point where people think you are as cool as Milton Erickson. Would anyone like to know how to do that? All right, well, have a chat to me in the corner. I'll be there during the break. I'll tell you more about it if you're interested. And, you know, there's a special discount to you guys because I like you. It's true. All right? So let's a little time out there. Do you see what we just did there? A little yes set to kind of amp up the enthusiasm. I presented my offer, which is very directly. I just said, this is what it does, this is what it is. And then, this is the most important part of it all, it's the call to action. If you're interested, walk to the back, I'll be there, and then you can either buy the DVDs or if you have any questions, I'll happily answer them for you there. Does that make sense, everyone? Yeah. Do you see how that process works? Yeah. Now, if you want to elaborate on that a little bit, if you want to get a little bit funky with it, the only thing I would add on top of the yes set is what I would call a magic moment, which is another way of doing a demonstration. What we did here is a form of magic moment because you got to see it and you went, oh, I want that, right? Would you be fair to say that you guys had that kind of experience, right? Another way of doing magic moments, those of you who've trained with me before, you know, you have all these little psychological games you can play with people. I don't want to get into that too much right now because it'll eat into our time too much. But the idea is very simple. If you know them, use them, or just do another little demo. The important part, though, is the yes set, the offer, followed by the call to action. So you guys are a little advanced. We'll do all 3 at once. Does all that make sense? Yes. Yeah? This is, again, something you can do in like 30 seconds or so. A couple of yes sets. Make sure you got enthusiasm in the crowd. Tell them what it is. Tell them what it will do for them. And then tell them how to get it. Tell them what you expect them to do. Now, not everyone will go and do it, which is fine. You're not forcing anyone. You're just making it available to them. Now, here's what not to do with a call to action. So, you know, did you enjoy the demo? Yes? Yes. Demo? Who would like to learn how to do that? Well, believe it or not, I spent a whole day teaching people how to do this hypnosis called How to Practice Hypnosis Without Fear. And we're going to step by step, how to get people to volunteer, how to bring them in, how to slowly and gradually start the induction so that every phase you can only succeed. Who would like to learn how to do something like that? Great. We'll have a DVD set. Well, let's have a break. Can you feel there's like an empty space? And the reason for that empty space is a lot of people feel afraid, like they feel cheesy, like, oh, I can't ask for a sale, please, I feel cheesy, right? You're actually worse off not doing it. Once you've presented the offer what it is, you're just leaving this awkward space for them. If you give them a simple call to action, so if you want it, notice I'm not actually forcing you. I'm like, all of you stand up now, go to the back of the room and buy the DVD, or else there'll be trouble. That's... You know, I've seen people do something like that, by the way, and it's hardcore. And, well, there's a high refund rate, let's put it that way. So, yeah, and that's why some people do no refund policies, right? So, yeah, the call to action is just very simple. Just give them a behavior. If you're interested, I'd invite you during the break to just come to the back of the room. You can buy it straight away. Or if you want to ask some questions, I'll happily answer any questions you have before you get the DVDs, right? So I'm not forcing anything. I'm making it easy. I'm showing you what the behavior are, which is just go up there and buy it. Or for some people who need more assurance, go up there, ask questions, then buy it. And that makes it very clear inside your minds what to do, and hence your behavior, the train tracks are set, the bridge has been built. Whether or not you cross it is your choice now, but at least now it's easy to cross it. Does that make sense to everyone here? Yeah. So what I'd like you to do is spend a minute and a half now in your groups, in your little pods there. You're going to do a 5-second opening. Remember, just literally, welcome, we're here to talk about this. Who wants to learn how to do this? Great. Just close your eyes, go into trance, come on back, meet each other. Good. Now, then we'll go into the lecture part. Did you know that, and again, we'll spend about 10 seconds on this bit here. Did you know that this is the case? Well, it fits into the idea of weight loss because now, everyone just close your eyes for a moment and consider all the things done in the past and this and that and woo, who feels good right now? Isn't that amazing? Isn't that something? Now comes the yes set. So, who's enjoying themselves so far? Anyone? Anyone in the room enjoying themselves so far? Who'd like to be able to carry on this journey in terms of what you're learning here and deepening your experiences? Anyone? Okay, so for those of you guys who want to take this journey further, let's say this is a weight loss program. I do a weight loss program where we just meticulously go through the 5 phases, what I call the 5 phases of weight loss. And it has nothing to do with dieting, believe it or not. Understanding nutrition and so on is important, but the most important thing is to break your connection to how you handle food, how you think or treat food, so that you don't have the same relationship anymore. It frees you from the tyranny of the chocolate cake and the cheesecake and all the rest of the stuff that's been tripping you up in your life until this point. Next, we look at your emotions. We look at the emotions that are driving the behavior you no longer want. Because by settling those emotions down, there is no juice left in the machine to drive the overeating truck. Does that kind of make sense to everyone? After that, we're going to look at your future. We're going to start constructing all the healthy behaviors you want to have and make sure they're going to the future. And we'll give you some other examples, yada, yada. Who is interested in that kind of thing? Well, that's what the whole weight loss program is about. If you want that sort of thing, or if you have any questions about it, please come and see me in the back. I can either book you in straight away. I do warn you, my time kind of runs out quickly, so this is a good chance for you to do that. Or if you have any questions, I'll happily answer any questions you have during the break, so everyone else can have some drinks and stuff like that. And I want you to know, because I appreciate you letting me come here and talk to you today, I'm giving everyone a 25% discount on the whole program, which means you will pay a lot less than most people who come to the program. So I hope you appreciate that, because I definitely appreciate being here. Okay? So let's have a break now, guys, and I'll see you guys who are interested in the corner over there right now. Do you see how that works?
Yeah.
Do you understand that whole process? It doesn't take very long. Spend a minute and a half, spend less time at the beginning parts because you've already done those, and spend more time at the end parts because you haven't done that yet. Any questions? All right, guys, off you go. A minute and a half each.
So you do your offer, you get the yes set, they're all excited, they're ready to do this, and then they raise their hand and ask you, well, how much is it?
Oh, that's easy. You either answer straight away or say, look, just come to the back of the room, and all you guys who are interested, we'll talk about it there so that everyone else can have their break, right? And then just tell them. I mean, the point is, I make no secrets. Normally what we will do, and you'll see this happening later on today, actually, we'll have the products that we're offering, or, well, it depends. Let me take a little step back here.
Okay.
First of all, it depends on your strategy.
Okay.
Are you here to sell a product or a hypnotherapy program, or are you here to build your list? I would recommend that you begin with building your list as the main strategy, right? Because the bigger your list is, the bigger your potential client base is, the more you can get done. Which means, my recommendation, at least initially, is that all your lecture demos only offer one thing. Would you like to know what that is? Yes. A free gift. I appreciate you taking your time out to listen to me. Who enjoy themselves? Yes, thank you very much. Let's say we're in a weight loss session here. So, because I appreciate being here, I'd like to give you a free gift that I've designed especially for people like you, that'll give you more information about this whole weight loss process in terms of, what normally goes wrong and how to fix it and so on. So, to go into more detail about the kind of stuff we talked about here. Would anyone like to have that kind of report? Yes? Great. So for you guys who really want to learn more about this stuff and really make a change in your life, I'll be in the back of the room here in the break. If you just give me your email address, we'll write it down on the email list. As soon as I get back to my office, I promise to email you a free report, and I'll throw in a free MP3 recording of a little induction I did, just so you can remember the wonderful experiences you had here. Would that be cool with you guys? Yes? Okay, guys, so let's take a little break, and I'll see the rest of you over in the corner now. So it's free, there's no price involved right now, because your main focus, strategically, is to build a list. On the other hand, if your main focus is to sell products and so on, which is also a choice you can make, then typically I'll have a sheet. You'll see one of our sheets later on today, and it'll have the products on there, or it could be the hypnotherapy programs you have on there and so on, right? And the prices will be on there. And what we'll do is we'll have the regular price, the price that everyone else pays, and I'll always have a very healthy discount for seminar participants. Could be 25%, could be 50%. It depends on the event. But they'll always pay less than most people will pay for that particular product or program and so on. Does that kind of make sense there?
Yes.
And if they ask for the price, I say, oh, great. Well, as you look on your sheet, normally the price is whatever the normal sum is. But because I like you guys and because you guys are here and I always want to, encourage, and this is true, by the way, I do want to encourage you guys to learn, because if you take the time out to come to an actual physical seminar, I mean, you've flown here, you've paid your money for the hotel, you've done all these other things, and I want to encourage you to learn, seriously, right? So hence, we give discounts both for out of a philosophical reason as well as for a business reason. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then we'll just give them the price. Or typically I don't actually say it out loud just because it's written down already. And if they ask anyways, then what's right there. Does that help?
Yeah. As building a list, do you make it almost like a requirement as people are like, oh, sign in here, write your name and your email?
No.
Or are you more invited?
The reason I would not make it as a requirement is because then you're running that gray area of spam again. They didn't ask for you to email them afterwards.
Okay.
I know people who do that, but then people go, why is he emailing me, right? So we'll always relate it to the free gift. And then there'll be an introductory email saying, it was great to meet you the other day. Here's your free gift. I hope you enjoyed. And then maybe 2 days later, we'll send another email saying, by now you should have had your free gift. If you haven't downloaded it, here's another link for it. And by the way, did you know, a nice little fact, and hope you have a nice day. A few days later, remember we've got the cycle we talked about, another email comes out and says, I hope you've been practicing the stuff that you've been learning. The stuff in the reports really kind of has some important information for you. Here's another little tip for weight loss that wasn't in the report, but I think you'll enjoy anyways. And then there's a little tip there. So you see how we're building value with it, and it's building a relationship very naturally. Hence, I always want to have permission to be able to use their email. I presume you do pretty much the same.
Yeah, I don't require people to sign up on the list for the same reason, that they will feel like, why is this guy emailing me? And I want people on my list that are interested to hear from me.
Okay.
Simple as that. It just makes better business sense in the long term.
Okay.
Right.
You'll get more people in the short term if you require them, of course. I can get everyone's email in this room, but if I only got the 5 that are really interested, I'll have a relationship with those 5 people over
5
everyone else
hot
the rest of the
clients
day.
are much more worthwhile than 1,000 people who don't even know you, don't even care about you.
Yeah.
Okay?
Gotcha. Cool.
Gonna pass the mic back behind.
Thank you. Reviewing last night, yesterday's work, we talked a lot about, if you like, the princes, rather than...
We're not there with the princess
No,
yet.
but it seemed to be more like we were talking about maybe the doctors or the owners of the yoga clinics or so on, which seemed to be more of a one-on-one explaining, rather than how we got to speak to their clients or their audience to do the presentation.
Well, these different venues, it depends on how you approach them. You can actually approach them as both a referral partner to send you people, or just to say, like with doctors, for example, they're more like a prince, they're more like a referral partner. However, at a yoga studio, you can say something like, I would like to come in to your class, or at least offer to your class a chance to come in and learn about the power of the mind so they can have the whole mind-body experience. Is that okay with you? And now you talk to their students. During a yoga class, you'll come in and say, hi guys, you might put some flyers out there, and then they'll say sign up for your free seminar, and then you'll do a lecture demo for the students who signed up over the last couple of weeks to come to your free lecture demo on the power of the mind for yoga practitioners. Let's think of another venue. Let's think of a Whole Food or a health food center, right? They have a lot of stuff going on there. They'll have little events with like crystal healing and tarot cards and whatever. And so you approach the owner in the same way, and then you say to them, look, I'd like to talk to your clientele about the power of the mind and how hypnosis can help them with X. And then they'll help you promote it. You'll put little flyers out, and people will ask about it, they'll take it, they'll sign up. And maybe you'll have 10 people in the room, maybe you have 5 people in the room, maybe you have 50 people in the room. But they'll have a little back room very often where their clientele gets to come as a freebie for buying stuff from the Whole Food market. It's very much like the farmer's market, actually. That's where the idea came from. And you'll be talking to their customers and signing up their customers as part of that lecture demo process. So the same opening will open you for princes and for lecture demos. Does that make sense?
It does, but I'm still the idea of, which, for example, with the health food or the yoga, they don't want you to interrupt their actual class, and as their class finishes, their students leave, so you don't.
Well,
have
once
the time
again,
to
that's a
talk to
question of logistics. You just talk to the owners about what would be a sensible way of letting your students, your customers know about this opportunity. And they might say, oh, print up some flyers and we'll hand them out. So you print up some flyers and they hand them out. We'll show you how to write copy for those sort of things later, right? They might say, well, why don't you come in at the end of a class and give them a 5-minute talk so see who's interested. Then you do a 5-minute version of this, which is a quick lecture demo, to sign them up for the bigger lecture demo, to sign them up for your list, and then that goes on to the other side. So you have to be a little creative with that sort of stuff, and you have to work with the center. The ones that already have these events organized will have a system for signing people up, so you just get in with that system. If you have a better idea, propose your better idea, and they'll go, that's a great idea, and then both of you win. So you'll have to work with it. This is part of what we talked about before. We can introduce you to the ideas and the concepts and the experiences, but you'll have to grow and evolve with them to fit your local area, because there is an amount of intelligent adaptation that's required. Does that help?
It does. Yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome. Is it useful to you guys? Yes? So let's go back to the process of actually doing the lecture demo. So far, we've got the first 3 phases, right? The first phase is the opening phase. The second phase is the lecture phase. It's the bit that they think they've come here for. They get the information and stuff and the experience, the demo. The third phase is the offer, and you'll know about the whole construction of the offer. Then you will typically have a break in a slightly longer program. Why do you have the break right after the offer? Any ideas? So they have time to actually do something about it, exactly, right? Here's a mistake I've seen other trainers make. They'll spend all the time doing quality content, which is a great thing, by the way, and then maybe they'll overrun it a little bit as well, and then at the end they say, oh, by the way, I've got some stuff at the back of the room, but people are already racing off to catch their trains, their buses, and all the rest of it. So I go, oh, that's great, but oh, I've got it. And it's gone. The moment's lost. So you must build in time for them to have chance to browse and think about your offer, to do whatever you need them to do to take it up. Make sense to you guys? If you haven't built time in for them to actually, A, think about it, B, do the action required, whether it's writing their email down, or getting their checkbook out, or getting their credit card out for you to scan, or filling out a form with their details for you to process later, then you've not given them time to do what you need them to do. It's just like the induction. If you rush them through it, you'll break the whole flow of what you're doing, and you'll end up with a very haphazard result. Does that make sense, everyone? So the offer, the best time to put it in is just before a break, and I like putting the break in the middle because you know they're not going to run off yet. There's more stuff to come, right? So some may rush off the loo because, nature is calling, but when they come back, they still have a few minutes left, whilst the other ones will come to you first, and then they rush off to the loo or whatever they need to go to. And so you've got the cycle contained. Now, you can do the offer at the end of your presentation. Just expect more people to leave because their mind will now be set towards where am I going, what's my next step, where am I going from here, and so on, right? If I only have an hour to do my presentation, I'll finish at about 50 minutes with the offer, so I'll move the offer to the end at that point. I'll finish with the offer after 50 minutes, and I'll say, and we'll have 10 minutes spare, and I'll say, look, guys, we've got about 10 minutes left, we've got about 10 minutes left, and if some of you need to rush off early, then by all means do so. However, I'll be at the back of the table, and I've got a couple of, and I can answer any questions. I know you have lots of questions as well. I'll answer any questions you have, and if there's time, I might give you a really cool demo there as well, because a little bit of a bribe for them to stick around, right? Meanwhile, those of you who want the free report or the free CD or the free recording, make sure you put your emails down on the form right over there, and I'll send you the free report or the CD or whatever I've promised you as soon as I can. Do you see how that kind of would work? But I specifically kept 10 minutes spare in the official hour that they're expecting to be there in order to do that stuff. And I might put a little sweetener in there with an impromptu demo just to make sure they stick around for that, right? Preference, though, is put it in the middle of the whole process so that that break comes at that point. If you have a longer training like this sort of thing, it matters very little when you do it. As long as you spend a day or so building value, then after that, you can pretty much do it at any point because they're going to be coming back. It's not like in a 5-day program, they'll take the first day and a half and go, yeah, you know what, I'm going to sit at the beach right now, right? If that's happening, then you've probably failed as a presenter already. You have a bigger issue to fix, right? But if you follow the format, it's really difficult to fail as a presenter because you're genuinely giving them some value, something that they're interested in, something that they want. So this whole process so far makes sense to you guys? Yeah? So the next phase is an interesting one. Again, this is all about sandwiching as much value into this as we can. It's what I call a hypnotic gift. When they come back from the break, they've heard about hypnosis, haven't they? They maybe have seen hypnosis in a demo, right? Maybe on top of that, you let them experience or feel hypnosis with a group experience of some sort, right? So you can mix and match the demos and the group experience and so on. So they have they've had a complete kind of picture of the whole hypnosis thing. And by now, they're probably excited by this whole game of hypnosis, right? So what the hypnotic gift does, it gives them an opportunity to take it home, to have it when they go home. Now, there's several ways that you can do this. You can teach them something simple, right? Like, I saw some of you guys doing that kind of the whole pointing game and so on. They can now do it with their friends. It's something they can go home and do with them. You could teach them self-hypnosis as a classic one, right? We've got 20 minutes left. I'm going to teach you guys self-hypnosis, and because we've only got 20 minutes to do it in, what I'd like to do is, remember before the break we talked about the free gift with the self-hypnosis session. That will reinforce what we're about to do next, which gives them an extra reason to go up and sign up if they haven't done so yet. Make sense? Then you might teach them self-hypnosis, really anything you want to teach them, but it's something they can take away from that session and take home, right? The reason I keep mentioning self-hypnosis is because it's the simplest, easiest thing to do. If you've already done a group induction and they've all enjoyed themselves, all you're going to do now is give them a group induction followed by a simple trigger or a simple process to do it for themselves, right? Easy? Simple? Any questions on that part? Should we go on to the final phase and then you can practice the entire sequence of a lecture demo? Yes? Yeah? So the final phase is this. How do I call it? Oh yeah, there you go. The wrap-up. Human beings are at one level very ritual-oriented. We need clear demarcation points between events, right? In earlier times, we had rituals for everything. We had rituals for a child becoming a man or a woman. We had a wedding ceremony, of course, is a ritual. Does a relationship in any way get enhanced by the fact that you wore a white dress? Not really, right? It's a ritual that says we've now moved from one phase of the relationship to another phase of the relationship, right? A birthday party is a ritual to show you've moved from one age range to another age range. But really, in nature, you just continue growing. So these rituals are important because they mark the beginning and the endings of things, and it's important to the mind to do that, right? So the wrap-up is just a simple way of presenting that ritual so that there's a satisfying ending to the whole process that you've engaged in. Does that make sense to everyone? Because let's put it this way. Let's just say we've done a nice little trance induction, and you've come back, maybe you learned some self-hypnosis. Did you enjoy that? Yes, great. Well, thank you very much and goodbye. Who here feels like they've just been cut off at the knees? It's like, what? Right? It's, it's like the equivalent of you have a lovely romantic evening and, one thing leads to another and everyone's very happy, and then you wake up in the morning and go, see ya. Right? It's a little bit of a harsh ending, and it kind of ruins everything you've built up to that point. Does that make sense to you guys? So the wrap-up is a simple process, but it's an important process because it brings things to a nice end. What was that guy? If you like watching those Oprah-style TV shows, you'll always see the wrap-up. At the end, they always have their thought of the day, and they bring it all together. There's a close-up of them going like, what have we learned here today, right? one of my favorite ones of this was Jerry Springer, because he had all kinds of insanity on his stage, organized insanity, because he wants people to become, misbehave and do all kinds of crazy stuff. And at the end, he has the gumption to pretend to have some kind of wisdom to offer, right? Like, so what have we learned here, folks? Families should love each other. It's like, what? You've just organized, you've orchestrated chaos amongst them, and yet people still love that format because it's a natural wrap-up to the whole process. Does that make sense, everyone, what we're talking about here? Really, the main thing in terms of the wrap-up is you're going to present a frame or a reframe to let all the experiences they've just had make sense to them, right? And in particular, you want to make that sense point in the direction of what you have to offer. Let's say I'm doing weight loss hypnosis as a classic example of it. And we've done some talking, we've done some group stuff, I've done a demonstration up here, and people will go, wow, it's amazing, it's great. I've given you the free report, we've had that break. You come back, I've taught you all self-hypnosis and reminded you, oh, by the way, if you want to practice it at home, this is great. We've only had 20 minutes, so that's one of the reasons I'm sending you that free MP3 recording. It'll help you to solidify what you've learned here in terms of the self-hypnosis, so you can take it home, right? So those of you who haven't had a chance to put your email down on the list yet, please make sure you do that before we leave tonight, because I'd hate for you to miss out. Just a little dig in there, of course, right? It's still entirely their choice whether or not they do it, but you've given an extra reason to do so, right? So I think we're coming towards the end of this experience. I hope you guys have enjoyed yourself. Has it been as valuable to you guys? Yes. Really, the main idea I want the guys to take away from today is, I hope I've shown you just the awesome power that's inside of you, inside of your mind. And a lot of people don't realize just what a powerful mind they have, because life kind of distracts it and moves it this way and the other. And if only you learn to refocus your thoughts on the things that you want, in this case, of course, we want it to be for weight loss, your mind will do amazing things when it's channeled in the right ways. I really sincerely hope for you guys that the self-hypnosis practice I taught you will give you as much value as it brought for me. And of course, if you want a little help on top of that, then just contact me. I'm a hypnotherapist. That's what I do, guys. And I'm always welcome. I always welcome your questions. And if there's any way I can help you, I'll do so. Aside from all that, I just want to thank everyone here for coming. I want to thank you for paying all this attention and having fun with this stuff. And I just want to remind you, as the last thought, your mind is powerful, so please use it wisely. With that thought, thank you very much and goodbye. Right? Is that a nice sort of rounding up of it? It's a very short process, but it just puts a nice seal on it. Now, may I offer you a little trick so that you have a strong ending, in the sense that you get, as my friend Marcus Oki, the charisma coach, says, you have a standing ovation at the end. I'll show you his version and I'll show you my version. They're slightly different, but the same concept. You've done your nice wrap-up and you've built it up and people are invested and so on. And then my version is this at the end of it. So I want to thank you all for coming here and have a nice night. Now, what is this? If not, an applause cue. Your hands will start going like, oh, I've got to do something now. I have started the activity for you and I'm waiting for you to complete it, right? So it's just a natural gesture. Marcus, my friend, the charisma coach, goes one step further. He goes, in fact, he's got some funny videos. You can check it out on his site if you want, where he'll actually insult his audience and do this just as a test. He'll insult them in a funny sort of way. He goes, all I have to say now is, you guys are a horrible lot. I hate you all, and I'm going to leave now. He will do that, and people will go, oh, that's great, that's fantastic, right? It's a classic unconscious applause cue. I prefer a nice, relaxed, natural gesture. It's worked well for me. He goes for much harder kind of close. They both work well. But it adds for a nice atmosphere at the end of the whole session. Does that make sense, everyone? Easy? Who is enjoying this process? Anyone? Okay, guys, get back in your groups of 3, the same groups that you had a moment ago, and I'd like you to do the entire 5 steps of a lecture demo. I'm going to give you guys 3 minutes apiece. That's like a huge amount of time at this point. Use it wisely. Off you go.
So as I was doing it, I kind of mixed the gift with the offer.
That's fine.
Would you say that's a good way of doing it?
Would you?
I think so.
How would my opinion be any better than yours?
I don't know. You're Igor.
I am, and you're Amir. I'm glad we've established that now.
Okay.
See, at this point, you're not going to get that much feedback back from me. The basic answer is experiment with it, right? Try it one way, try it the other. Find what suits you, your personality, your clientele. I have my preferences. It doesn't make them any better than anything else. It makes them my preference. It works for me. So go out and experiment with the different formats. I want you guys to start owning this material. I can only shortcut things for you, but ultimately, you need to be moving well beyond whatever we're talking about. You start here and you mold it to fit you, your clientele, your locality, the people around you, and so on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Excellent. There was a question back here. Is this still up?
Is there a greater distinction between the experience on the stage 2 and the hypnotic gift?
The only distinction I personally make is the gift is something they've got to be able to take home with them, right? So they can do at home, so they can extend what they've done here outside of here. It could be something cool that they can just, like, let's take it out of the context of hypnosis. A friend of mine's a cartoonist. In fact, Marcus, he drew the map. He can show people how to draw a cool cartoon face. They can go home, draw a cool cartoon face, and they feel cool. And it reminds them about the seminar. So the gift is really something which they'll enjoy, something practical or useful or fun, that they can take away out of the seminar to keep things flowing. If that happens to be part of your demo or part of your experience, it's fine. You can mix and match these things, no problem. My main thing, though, is when I think about a gift, I want it to be transferable, to be portable. When I'm thinking about the experience, it's going to be something dramatic that they can experience right now, or that they can see me do right now, or preferably a bit of both. And if they happen to do all three at the same time, so much the better.
So you can repeat it, let's say, if it happened to during the experience to have something that they can take home. Sure. Then you repeat the same thing. Or
sure. Let me give you an example. We've been teaching. We've got 24 trainers now. We've done a trainers training. So there's 24 trainers out there teaching our material all over the world now, right? And one of the things they're doing right now in terms of their lecture demos, to get people into the hypnotherapy program and so on, they're doing the same thing. They're doing a lecture demo about hypnosis. They'll show an instant induction. They'll teach them how to do the instant induction so they have an experience of it. But then, of course, they can go home and do the instant inductions. Right. So they've got showing, teaching, and experiencing and doing. And it's all the same idea. So they've extended it over the whole lecture demo. So yes, you can mix and match it. I'm just separating those phases in my mind to make sure I've hit as many of those angles as possible. They've seen something dramatic, they've felt something dramatic, and they get to take home something dramatic. Does that help?
Makes sense, thank you.
And you can mix these things around a little bit. It's just a format that I found useful, that's all. Can we have the microphone back here again?
So is there such a thing? Well, there is.
I agree. Anyone else?
Like, where's the limitation on how much you give? Because you want to give value, but you don't want to give way too much. So where can I draw that line? That way I'm not giving.
Well, let's put it this way. If it's in the question of a lecture demo, you can't give away too much value because you only have an hour or two to do it, right? Mm-hmm. So as much as you can pack into that time, you have more than enough left over that you can offer more value afterwards. The bit where you should get concerned about, and this is what happens, can happen a lot in our industry, is when you give away more and more and more afterwards in the relationship building thing. Mm-hmm. So let's say you have your 7 emails. First, here's an MP3, and here's a video program, and here's another training, and here's another thing, and here's another whole book I wrote, and here's another 12 video training program you can have for free too. Do you see how you're giving away more and more and more, and you're training them to get everything for free? And then when you say, oh, by the way, you're going to buy this, they go, why should I? I've got all this free stuff, right? So the idea of the free, the value you're giving away, is to give them a genuine feeling and a genuine taste of how much they'll be getting from you once they're behind the closed door, which is where clients only can enter.
Right.
Does that kind of make sense
yes.
there? In terms of the lecture demo, give them as much as you possibly can do, as much. Okay. Because unless you're doing a one-day seminar, which is a little different at that point, If you're doing a free one-day seminar, then you want to be a bit more, well, even then you can give it as much as you want away because you want to get them to come to the hypnotherapy program and so on. But really, lecture demos, you'll be going between an hour and 2 hours, 3 hours maximum, like a half day is really the maximum you'll probably do. And really, whatever you can pack into it, so much the better. Does that help?
Sure. So you can give them like 5 hypno gifts.
If you can pack it into it, why not, right?
Okay.
And let's put it this way, packing 5 hypno gifts into an hour and a half is a lot. And let's put it this way, you also have to leave, within this context, there'll be times where there'll be Q&A sessions, they'll be asking you questions. They'll probably ask you questions here, they'll probably ask you questions here at the offer. They may ask you questions after the gift as well, and that will eat up more time as well. So, typically for a 90-minute, I'll go through the timings in a moment, but typically for like a 90-minute lecture demo, which is relatively standard, right? I will aim to teach them, in other words, give them information of 3 to 5 facts, 3 to 5 interesting ideas. I want to demonstrate one cool thing, and I want to make sure they have one cool group experience, right? Then there's the offer and the gift. I'll give them one gift on top of that if I can find the time for it, right? So, and I'm already telling you, I'm already stretching the 90-minute mark at this point. Okay. I may have to drop out some of the content. I may have to go reduce it to 3 things if it's really eating my time up. I may have to choose between the demo or the group experience if the time is starting to erode. Sometimes I may even have to drop the gift out because I'm just running out of time, and I'd rather have them have more time with the offer and a solid wrap up because my time is running out. So you can massage this stuff. This is the ideal phase that I'm aiming for, and hopefully you will find it useful to aim for that too. Okay?
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Can we have it over there? Just pass it on over.
When you're going to give a lecture demo, how do you introduce yourself? Like a self-intro, how would you build your credibility before beginning the speech or the talk?
Yeah, you see, it's interesting because I've not had to do this for such a long time. We have so many products out, people know me by the time they come here, right? So I tend to not do a self-intro, I just assume it, right? I'm just trying to reverse engineer and think back onto it. If I need to do a self-intro, typically, I'll do it in the induction phase. I'll do a conversation induction about some part of my life that refers back to what I need them to experience, whilst turning that into a hypnotic metaphor about the trance I need them to experience. So it's a very complex piece of work I would do, but it's more efficient for me, right? Where would you do it? You may want to do the self-intro right at the start, right after you've done the what and the conscious why. Somewhere between the conscious why and the induction, you'll want to do some kind of a self-intro, whether it's a couple of minutes or so on, maybe a little story about yourself. It would fit there nicely. But honestly, don't concern yourself too much about it. It depends on how your group's been assembled. Usually, for example, let's put it this way. Let's say you're at a business networking group, right? And you do your 5-minute mini talk, which the business networking groups do all the time. And you say, look, I'll come to any of your businesses and I'll help you improve productivity by talking either about how to control stress so people can work better, how to stop smoking so that they are more productive, or anything like that, right? Whatever your focus happens to be. And then say 4 business people come up afterwards and say, hey, you know what, I'd love for you to come to speak to my people. And you'll talk to them. Say, great. You come to their place. They will typically come up and do the presentation for you. Say, oh, this guy's a hypnotist. He's great. I saw him speak in my business group. You're in for a wild treat. And he'll probably be talking to them for the week before you go there anyways. So you can also prime him to say, look, here's some facts about me. You may want to let your group know so that they know what to anticipate. And that takes care of the self-intro before you even get there. Does that make sense? So I don't tend to focus on it so much. I kind of presuppose it. I would prefer to do it ahead of time. If I had to do it, I would do a more complex version in the induction phase. And if that seems like an overwhelm for you guys, which I suspect you will do at this point, then just stick in a 2 or 3, a 2-minute little story about yourself at the start, somewhere between the conscious why and the induction. You want to have the short what and the conscious why in place before that, so that they have a reason for still listening to you. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah. Would you like that's a fantastic way to do it for the unconscious. Would you guys like a quick way to do it for the conscious mind? All right. So somebody give me a niche. or niche?
Stop smoking.
Stop smoking. Great. What about stop smoking? Let's narrow it down a little bit further.
Give it a more specific client.
Yeah, a little bit more specific.
Feel healthier.
What
let's put it
type
this way.
of client am I looking for?
Let's put it this, like say
Teachers? Okay,
teachers who need to
good,
stop
that's fine.
smoking.
So teachers who want to stop smoking. So I'm just assuming you guys are a group of teachers, all right? Hi, everybody. My name is Joe. Hi, nice to meet you. And I am an expert in teaching teachers how to stop smoking.
Love it.
The rule there is be explicit. The conscious mind wants specificity. They want to know who you are, what your credentials are, and why you're there. I stick it right in the beginning because it's easy. They go, why should I listen to this guy? You know, yeah, they may have talked about him before, but if you don't have the, your reputation going before you, easy to say, okay, this is me, this is my niche, and I am an expert.
And this
Right.
also, by the way, becomes a conscious why.
Yes.
Why should you listen to me? Because I'm an expert
Yep.
in stop smoking for
that-
teachers.
I mean,
I love it. I think it's great.
That's the two words you have to say. Expert, right? I'm an expert, or 3 words.
Or I specialize in.
Yeah, I specialize in, and it doesn't mean you need to have a PhD in whatever niche you're talking about, right? You are an expert. An expert knows more than their audience. This is not a cynical thing I'm talking about. There's funny things you can say about an expert's just a few chapters ahead in the book, But really, that's what you are. You have an expertise that you're going to be sharing with people. You're going to be sharing them experiences, stuff they can take home. This is stuff they didn't have, or else they wouldn't be in front of you, right? Remember, your audience is self-selecting. They want to hear from you. And they know on an unconscious level a little bit that you're an expert, but just tell them, I am an expert at helping teachers quit smoking. Wow, okay, I should listen to this guy. He knows about teachers and how to quit smoking. Great.
Can we have the microphone over here, please?
Plus, Joe, maybe you didn't even realize this, but when you first got up there, you said, I'm an expert at teaching teachers. And I think
Right.
that they related to that immediately instead of helping teachers.
Right.
So I think that would automatically make a connection.
That's a really great point. I try to speak in the language of the people that I'm speaking to. So if it's doctors, for instance, I take care of this problem for you. If it's teachers, I teach you how to do this. If it's construction workers, let me help you build a plan to do this, right? It's a subtle thing. It's more kind of an advanced technique, but I guess it's just something I have ingrained. But that's something that I always try to do is speak in their language so that unconsciously people get a higher association with me as being the expert in their field.
Very good. You guys enjoying that? Yes. Any other questions or comments on this? No? So what we'd like to do now is we'd like to wrap this whole thing up into a very practical system, right? Can we do the map thing? So what I'd like for you guys to do at this point is do a couple of things. Number one, I'd like for you to have a blank piece of paper out so we can redraw the map. Please start with a blank piece of paper for this. If you need some paper, James, could you hand out some paper, please? Guys, you have now, for the second part, you have 2 choices. The paper is going to be recreating the map. I would like for you to have some way that you can take notes simultaneously. So if you want to take the notes on your laptop, that's fine. If you don't have a second piece of paper to take notes on, that's fine. I really don't mind, but you will be using both things, both tools, simultaneously. Some of you may want to just take the notes on the same page as the map. You're welcome to that too. I really don't mind. It's just you'll be doing 2 things simultaneously. When you've organized yourself that way, please look up so that I know that you guys are ready. We start off in Never Never Land with Johnny Two Shoes. So what's the first thing that Johnny has to do? He wraps the lamp and then he builds the hut, right? So let's get the hut ready and let's get the hut up. Who's the genie here? For now. So he has to build a hut, correct? What does the hut represent? Your office, right? So go ahead and build a hut. When you've done that, what I'd like you to do is maybe if you need to have this little chat with the person next to you, you can do that. Otherwise, I would like you to take a note about, first of all, what the hut is, what the hut means. And secondly, what is the first thing that you need to do in order to start building your own hut, to creating your own office? Now, for some of you, it might be to find a lawyer to take advice on. For others of you, it might be to look around your local area for office space to be able to rent. Others of you might go into your garage and clean it and think about clearing it out so that you can convert it into an office. Really, I don't know what it'll be for you. What I want you to think about now, though, is what is just the first step that you can do to create your office? Now, if that is a step you can do whilst you're here in the Bahamas, so much the better. I would encourage that, right? So if it's finding a legal advisor, for example, you can do that online right now, or actually, during the break, because we're talking now. If it's finding an office space, you may be able to actually look for real estate online as well in your local area, especially if you already know your area and have some ideas of where to go to, right? It might just be a question of phone up your estate agents because you already have their number and talk to them about what you want, and they'll go searching for you. I don't know how you want to do it. However, you get the idea of what I mean, right? You have your hut. It means you're going to create an office. There is legal implications. There is some red tape you've got to go through if you need a business license, for example. Use a physical implication of the location you'll have it in. What is the first thing that you must do or you can do for that? Have you all written that down? Yes?
All right, so you guys know the next step as well. Johnny has to go through the marshes and do some market research. And again,
make sure you draw the marshes first, folks. If there's no marsh on your piece of paper, then you're missing out on your unconscious mind, and it won't like it. In fact, I'm going to be right there with them, exactly. You know why? Because I love the map. I don't know why, I never get tired of drawing it. Although I wish it was as good as that, right?
So you guys know what the map, and particularly the marshes, represents, right? Market research, that's right. So again, let's think about what are the tools that we talked about earlier? Demographics? Facebook, stuff like that? Google. What about stuff for a tool that we had that can really see what people are thinking, feeling? The empathy map, right?
Well, that comes next to the village.
Oh, it does. You're right. Never mind. So all the market research, what's one thing?
So I think there's a question there quickly.
Yes.
Is there any effective way to put out a poll to find out exactly what you want to know?
So there's a question, is there an effective way of creating a poll to find out what you want to know? Well, the thing about polls is you need people to answer those polls, right? If you already have a list, then great. You just poll your list. We do that all the time. If you do not, then you've got to figure out a way of getting in front of enough people to be worth polling over. The idea is great. I mean, let's put it this way. People do polls on the high street all the time. You just have to figure out a method of getting at your target audience to be able to fill that poll out.
And I have a website that I use to do that. If you can't get in front of enough people on your own and you have the money to pay for it, there's a website called askyourtargetmarket.com, I believe it is.
Nice name.
Which is a perfect name for it. And you pay them, per the size of people you want to do, and you can ask them anything. And you can even, if you have a product or something you're looking to introduce to a market, before you create the product, go ahead to askyourtargetmarket.com and find out what those type of people are thinking. And there's an art and a science to creating polls, so that you're not influencing people in certain ways and stuff. It's beyond the scope of what we're doing here, of course, but there are plenty of great tools out there that you can learn how to make effective surveys that are going to get you the answers you need for your particular niche or whatever you're creating. That's kind of a specialist tool, but it's worth looking into.
Okay,
So getting back to the marshes, doing market research, let's think about, again, another specific thing that you can do for your business when you get home. Am I on Yelp at all? Yeah, I am on Yelp. Yelp is, for my particular area, is it actually a decent way for me to get clients. I get referrals from there all the time. Clients call me up, and the first question I ask clients is, how'd you find me? And a lot of them will say Yelp. I know other hypnotists that Yelp doesn't do anything for them. I'm on other websites, and we're going to be showing you guys those a little bit later. One is called like thumbtack.com, which is sort of a directory. They started small, but they're getting really popular. They're like a directory of service professionals from all over. I don't know if they serve it outside the U.S. or not, but I actually get a lot of, I have to pay to actually talk to these people, but I get a lot of referrals from there as well. And they're usually pretty good leads. So really, my rule is I'm always looking for places I can list myself and find new opportunities to talk to people. Most of them don't work out, but the ones that don't work out for me work out for other people all the time. So I'm always testing and tweaking and seeing what different profiles and offers and stuff I can put on the different networks of people, because they'll want different things. But by and large, the main big traffic sources in the U.S. are like Yelp, Google, of course, if you get your website high up in there, and others like service directories and stuff.
Over here.
This is actually a recommendation you gave to me about 2 months ago, and it was finding local meetups. Meetup groups for hypnotherapists that are in your area.
Again, yeah, that's another website that I highly recommend that everyone check out. I believe they're international. Meetup.com, meetup.com. You'll write it down. Is a fantastic way not only to meet with groups that are already meeting, so you can talk to the organizer of these groups and go, hey, I've got some extra services and stuff to offer your group. It doesn't have to be a hypnosis group or an NLP group or anything like that. It could be like a yoga or meditation group. They're always looking for fresh content, new speakers, new events. And what I highly recommend that you do as well is start your own meetup, start your own club. And we're going to talk, what I think is tomorrow, about night classes and things that you guys can do. Remember when Johnny had a lot of business, he couldn't really handle everything else. He had kind of a classroom he did at night with people. Doing that has increased my business exponentially, and is a really great way to do that.
Just the last thing that you told me about that was right before I said, oh, okay, I'm going to go do that. You said, just remember, shut up. So when I showed up to the meetup, I went to talk, and I went,
instead of going to listen. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. You can go to talk, but then you're doing a lecture demo. If you're doing market research, you listen.
Yeah.
If you're doing a lecture demo, you talk. So it's the same tool. It's just a question of what are you trying to achieve with it, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, it was just about the lecture demo. How is it different than a night class, and is it always free?
We'll come on to the night class later, and we'll show you exactly how that works. Yeah. All right, guys. So have you all written down one specific behavior that you can do for market research? Yes? What's the one simple step? Now, chances are you could probably do that tonight, could you not? With the laptops and stuff like that? So far from us to suggest that tonight you'll go, maybe I'll have a look online, just see if I can start the process going. Because if you were to do that, you'd be way ahead of the game. You might actually end up making some money before you left here, which would be nice. So please don't think that I'm suggesting you go ahead and start working through as much of the list you're creating right now as possible. But if you were to, I really couldn't stop you, because I'm not going to be policing your internet traffic.
I am.
Yeah. You are the state. Big Nanny is watching you. Very quickly over here, and then we'll move on.
I just was looking last night, and that Wolfram Alpha, they actually have an app for like the iPad and the iPhone and things. So you can actually do on your iPhone, be doing research at a stoplight.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Which was sort of nice to find out.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it at a stoplight.
Yeah. While someone else is driving, of course.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. They do have apps for iPhone, Android, all sorts of stuff. I use the website because it's a simple example. Everyone can access it. And the apps do have some more information, interactivity, and stuff like that. But what you're really looking for is not to play with the tool. You're looking for the information that you can use to move on to the next step. That is all.
Exactly.
And
You're gathering data so you can do the village when we get to it.
Yeah. If Wolfram Alpha is great for you, awesome. If it Google's, the tool you prefer, use that as well. Get the information you need and get out there and actually use it. That's what I care about.
Exactly. Do you want to pass it over to Andy over here?
On the research that you already had me do on the various Lions Club, Rotary clubs, etc. in my area, would you recommend before going to do a speaking that you actually got a list of the previous speakers' sort of subjects, how they were received? Or
I would recommend you do your market research, like we talked about before. Every owner, every farmer, you need to research them so you know how to approach them. So what you're discussing now is a form of market research.
That's right.
So I would, of course, recommend that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, guys, so we all good with the swamps, the marshes? Everyone have a next step written down? So what comes after the marshes? The village, that's right. And what happens in this funky little village? You've done the market research in the marshes. Now you compile the information you had from the market research and you create a client profile out of it. That client profile gets condensed into your USP. Remember those 3 factors, the 50-plus-year-old builders with back pain, that sort of thing? And that in turn will allow you to create a simple slogan or branding for yourself to say, I am an expert in helping 50-year-old builders with back pain live more comfortably, right? It gives you a very simple way of presenting, this is my niche, this is where I will be Lord and King, and all can come and pay homage in this niche. Outside that niche, well, I can do stuff too, but I'm going to focus my attentions here. Now, you have a great tool for that, do you not? Who here liked the empathy map, the thing we did with the USP yesterday, yes? So that's really what's going on here. This allows you to process that. So, what is one step? What is the first step that you can do when you get past the marshes into the village to create a brand for yourself, a real niche for yourself? What's the first thing you need to do? That might be the one for you. So you're saying deciding a target market. That might be the thing for you. For others, it might be you have a dozen possibilities. You just scan through them all and decide. Some people decide, no, I want to do this. I'm just going to find the right clientele for this. I already know. And it might just be to fill the profile out. Who knows? I don't know. And honestly, it does not matter to me what you need to do because I do not know at what stage your business is at right now. However, the one thing I will say is you do not start whatever client profile, USP, niching activities you want to get into until you've done some market research. Because you need facts, you need information to inform your intuitions, which will then be honed by the tool that you've been given in order to be able to create a clear, crisp USP, clear, crisp niche that you're willing to dedicate yourself to, at least to start with. Does that make sense, everyone? Do you all have a simple step written down? Yes? Did you have a question or not?
All right, so after Johnny finds a niche, he says the empathy map there. There we go. He finds out about our farmers market, or farmers markets, as it were. So everyone go ahead and draw those farmers markets for yourselves. Is this all starting to make sense to you guys as a nice system? Yeah? So what does Johnny do here at the farmers markets? Anyone? Talks to the farmers. Good. And you all have an idea of a process you can use to talk to these owners, right? So what's one step, the first step you can take when you get back home. Might be call for you.
Or a gatekeeper. Well, here's the thing. Think about it this way. Do you even know which of these farmers markets you want to approach? So you've got some new kind of market research to do, don't you? You've got to find out what's out there, who they are, what they need, then find out how to contact them, and then you can do the calling and the whole phone process, right? So I don't know, again, what stage you're at. Some of you will have instincts about, oh, I know exactly the place I want to go to. It may just be a question of get the phone number and call them. For others of you, you have no idea, so you may have to do some research and think about, oh, you know what? I'll try these half dozen places first, but you need to research them to find out what are they like, what's their clientele like, who do they see, and so on, and then decide to go to the whole fulfillment thing. Again, how would we know? Do you know what they need to do?
I don't know what you need to do.
How could we know? It's your business, it's your local area, and we have no idea what stage of that business startup you're in, right? Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I agree with him. Do you have a simple step written down? So once you've written down your first step in this area, please look up to this way so I know that we can continue. Now remember, we don't need you to take notes on entirely all the steps you'll be doing at this point. We just need to know what the first step is in order to get into the farmer's market, so to speak. Later on, when you go home tonight, you can take as many notes as you want about all the following steps, which you're going to be able to go through step by step when you get to that point, which is great. It's good to have that plan fully listed. Right now, we're setting up the framework of the plan, and you can then fill in the details of the plan as much as you can now, and later on, you'll fill in more details as you acquire more experience and information and so on. Make sense? Everyone done so far? Yeah. All right, so the next step, you've acquired a few farmers markets who've allowed you to come in, that's it. So what's the next thing that we do? Not yet. The permission to do your blog and pony show is the bit where we talk to farmers already. This is the actual lecture demo, right? In terms of what we're doing here, you're right in terms of the campaign thing. We'll talk about it in a slightly separate way in a moment, if I may. Where are all the pens gone? Ah, the little bugger is hiding on me. So what we're looking to do is once we've got permission, which is really what Joe was talking about a moment ago, you now want to get ready to do your lecture demo with these guys. So I'm just going to do a little happy face here because that's how they'll be feeling once you've come to their venue. So what I'd like you to do for this phase, in terms of the lecture demo, is two things. Number one, I'd like you all to write down the 5 steps or the 5 phases of a lecture demo. Just write these phases down and leave some space underneath them for notes. So I'll leave some space underneath each step for you to put some notes in. But just write down the 5 phases very quickly, and then you'll be able to fill some space in underneath each step with some notes in a moment.
If you're having a hard time seeing, it's opening, lecture, offer, gift, and wrap up.
Because all gifts come in a wrapper, don't they?
They do. You can't give a gift without a wrap up.
No. And that's why you have to open it first, so you can wrap it later. Don't worry, we're just having fun. That's why we're hypnotists. So do you all have the 5 phases of the lecture demo with some space for notes in between, yes? What I'd like you to do now is right on the top of your list, whatever theme or niche you think right now you might want to specialize in. This may change after your market research, I appreciate it. However, for now, just choose a niche you think you might like to specialize in. For example, stop smoking, weight loss, pain control. You know, we've talked about these many times already. And if you can make it a little bit more precise, if you have a feeling of the people in your area and you decide, I want to work with teenagers in pain, so much the better, right? But I don't mind having a relatively larger label niche like a weight loss in generally or stop smoking generally for now, because it's really an exercise at this point. Have you all written down a niche that you think you might be interested in? Yes? What I'd like you to do now then is think about the opening statement. What is one thing you'll say to them in terms of why they should be there for you? And just write that down. Just one thing. Sure. In the opening phase, you're doing several things. Introducing yourself. You're doing the short what. And then you're going to give the conscious mind a reason for being here. I'd like to have one of those reasons just written down. There's no need to fill it. I know some of you will want to fill in several reasons and structure the whole thing and so on. That's fine. Please do that when you go home tonight or maybe during the lunch break. For now, I just want one reason so we can continue with the rest of the list. And this is something you can fill in on your own when you have a little more time, okay? So have you done the opening sequence? For the lecture, there's a few things I want you to do. The first thing I want you to do is find one fascinating fact that fits the niche you've chosen. And just write down what that fascinating fact is. Or a code word to remind you of that fascinating fact. For example, it might be Dickens to remind you to talk about Charles Dickens being a hypnotist, etc. Make sense? So under the lecture portion, write down one fascinating fact or a code word to remind you of that fascinating fact. And when you're done, look this way. Then very quickly link it to your topic. The link may already be inherent in it, which means you're fine with that step. And then decide on either something you're going to demonstrate to that group or an experience you'll do with that group. You may do both, I don't care. But just write down very quickly, what will you demonstrate to them, what will you do with them so they experience something. It could be something as simple as group induction. It could be as simple as demonstrating a phobia cure or demonstrating a bit of hypnotherapy in front of them. It could be something completely different. I really don't know and care what that's going to be, but I'd like you to write down one experience that they'll have. Again, please keep it brief so we can have everything before lunch, otherwise people will faint. Everyone done the lecture part all right? For the offer, I would like for you to think about what is, and only one kind of offer for now, what is the ethical bribe or the free gift that you're going to offer them in return for their email? That's the only thing I'd like you to write down there. What is the ethical bribe, the free gift that you want to offer them? Is it a free report? Is it an induction? Is it going to be a CD or an MP3 that they download? Is it a little video? There's many different things you could do. We'll talk more about what you can use for that at a later session. For now, whatever comes to mind is good enough. So it should be a real quick one. Number 4, under the gift, again, think about a simple gift you can give them in the session, a hypnotic gift, an experience they can take home, something they can do, a trick they can learn, something that's going to relate back to the reason that they're here, whether it's weight loss, stop smoking, pain, whatever it is, right? Write it down, or write a note down to remind you of what that gift will be. You don't have to give the whole structure of it. Easy? Yeah? The wrap-up, well, we pretty much leave the wrap-up because that's just the wrap-up. You just contain whatever you've said and find a nice, neat solution to the whole thing. So, do you understand the lecture demo? It's very easy. And you have a simple process that you can elaborate on now. But really, if you look at those notes, if someone said, hey, we've got a group here who's got half an hour spare, do you want to come and talk to them about whatever this niche is? You should be able to go, sure, bring your notes in, and give them a nice, simple 20 minutes, 30 minutes talk, including getting them to sign up onto your email list. Would that be fair to say? Yeah? Excellent. So what's the next step?
And I'll use her term over there, build that relationship road.
Love it. In fact, we may as well go to the next step with it as well, because they're kind of contained within, right?
And we're going to add in the velvet ropes and the gifts as well. And remember those, the free gift is what we were talking about in the lecture demo, and the velvet ropes are the autoresponders that were discussed earlier.
So the velvet ropes are the autoresponders, like Aweber. They represent the automation that leads them across the relationship road into the free gift. So basically when you say, I'm going to give you a free gift, sign up for my email, and there's a machine behind that that will give them the free gift and lots of other emails as well. That machine is the velvet ropes, because there's a free table of free gifts here, and that's a really bad table, but that's okay. There's a table of gifts that's linked to the velvet ropes, and it's the method or the mechanism or the system that you will use in order to build the relationship. And that's just to separate the idea that the relationship can be built many ways, right? The relationship road is the relationship you're building with someone. There are many ways I can do this. For example, I could have a weekly meetup group, and I'm building a relationship each time they come and meet me, right? I could knock on your house every other day and say, hello, how are you doing? Okay, good, and move on. There's just a lot of effort to do. So for the moment, in terms of this system here, the simplest way of building a relationship is combined with the velvet rope, which is why we've put them together here. So effectively, your autoresponder with the email list and the free gift all become one mechanism for building a relationship. But I want you to be aware that there are many other mechanisms you can use to build the relationship aside from that. Hence, they are slightly different, right? And if the distinction confuses you, then just say they're the same thing. Do you understand what that is? Yes? So I think they have a choice to make about that, don't they? Yep. What would be the first choice?
So you're going to have to decide what kind of value you're going to provide in the beginning for this relationship.
What's the free gift going to be? The good news is, you already have it. It's written down in your lecture demo, isn't it? So now you're linking the lecture demo to your relationship road. What else do we need to decide?
How are you going to build a relationship further?
Yeah. How many emails are you going to send them?
Yeah.
Is it going to be 3 emails, 7 emails, 10 emails? It's an arbitrary number in some degree, but if you don't write down how many you're going to send right now, how are you going to write them? So go ahead and write down how many emails you want to have in that initial relationship building campaign. And should we give them a very quick, like a 1-minute tour of what kind of thing they can do with it? Let's give you an example, so we can go to lunch in a few minutes' time.
Okay.
An example of what this will look like. Email 1 will be, here's your gift. That's what you promised them, isn't it? Email 2 could be, here's a reminder, just in case you didn't download your gift or didn't get your gift, here's a reminder of where to get it. Oh, and by the way, and that's what the plus is about. Oh, and by the way, here's something extra you may not have realized yet that's in the gift for you to appreciate about the gift, right? It might be, is a little fact inside the report that most people don't know about. Here it is, and you'll find more about it on page 5, right? So it's a reminder. Third email might be just a genuine value one, right? Which is to say, did you know Tiger Woods has used it to lose weight too? I don't know if that's true, by the way. I doubt it, but who knows, right?
Who knows?
He's been kind of skinny all the time, right?
Yeah.
Number 4, email number 4 is you will ask for an offer. At the very latest, at the 4th point, you'll say, by the way, I have a weight loss program, and here's all the reasons you should come to it. Click on this link to find out more about it. Simple stuff, right? Email 5 might be one of these hidden offers, where you say, oh, here's a story one of my clients just sent in. Oh, I'm gushing with delight. I've lost so much weight. I'm so happy. It could happen for you too. Click on this link to find out how. It's a very soft sell, right? If you prefer this, you can call this a soft offer instead, right? Yep. The offer is very direct. I have a hypnotherapy program just for you. Here's what you'll like about it. Click on this link to find out more. The soft offer is indirect. A client just sent me this story. Look what she said. I feel great. I've lost so much weight. I feel sexier than ever, and I've been asked on 5 dates this week alone. Thank you. End of quotation marks. You see how great she feels? I want that for you. If you want to know more, click here to find out more. It's a much softer sell than the direct offer.
So it's a lead suggestion rather than a push.
Exactly. Right? And if you want to send us a couple more emails, You can fill that in any way you want. Give some value, give some offers, give some soft offers. At this point here, you can pretty much bounce around in different ideas as you wish to. I really don't mind too much. This gives you a simple structure to begin with. In your guide, your resource guide, which we'll talk about more in due course, you will have a complete version of one of these campaigns, and I believe it's for a weight loss program, that shows you this same structure. In fact, most of them will include soft offers because those are the ones that people understand least. So we've put a heavy emphasis on these soft offers so that you can see how easy it is to construct them. They'll be there for you to use as templates that you can kind of study and then create your own versions for your own niches. Does that make sense to everyone? Now, with this whole process, folks, you have the entire, well, not the entire method we'll be teaching you, but you have an entire method for running a hypnotherapy business and doing so successfully. How do you feel about that? I agree. This is a good time to go to lunch. Let's be back in an hour and a quarter, and we'll talk some more.